Hello, and what a beautiful day for a change, and I hope you're enjoying the sun if you can. Again, I'm going to talk about what I do with work, and no exaggeration in the almost miraculous effects of working within the mind, the subconscious particularly. Because if we just work on a subconscious level, I have an analogy that I often use with this. It's a bit like where you've got a weed in the soil and you're only chopping off what you can see. That's not going to get rid of the weed. And if we have the weed as the issue, whatever it is, an addiction or phobia or anything at all, we have to look at the root cause of it. So often the issue is never the issue. You know, often when people present something to me, it's actually a symptom rather than the cause. Now, the beauty of the work that I do, I don't even have to know what the cause is, because your unconscious, that records everything you've ever experienced, already knows. So the worst thing you can do for things like trauma is, I would say, never, ever, ever go to therapy, especially long term. That's going to keep talking about the problem. Let's go over the past, blah, 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 right? It's a load of bollocks, right? I've got to be straight about this. It's a load of bollocks. At best, it's like cutting off where you can see that root, and you won't see it for a while. But of course, the problems still exist underneath the soil, like the root cause of the problem. It's no good just doing surface work in the conscious mind. And it's not even any good just opening it up and leaving it. So imagine if you were to even dig into the soil and even remove that weed, metaphorically, what you're left with, it's open. You've not really done anything apart from remove it, and it's now exposed. I've sometimes had clients come to me and explain this feeling they get, which is, I've had some degree of therapy, and they said, my mind feels weird. It's like it's kind of open, but not in a good way. It's like exposed. When we get rid of something within the mind, whether we want to think of it as a program or a weed, metaphorically, it's no good just removing it. That's not enough. What we need to do is imagine that soil. What we need to do is now plant what we want. What does that person want? It's no good just focusing on the things you don't want. You need to focus on what it is you do want. This is vital in making change work. Not only quick, but long lasting, and it can last forever. Okay, so it's no good just digging that out or removing the program of it. What are you left with? You're not left with anything really, and it can come back. So what you need to do, like that soil, is plant the seeds of the things that the client wants or you want. What is it you want? Let's focus on that. Let's nurture those things. So imagine you want to plant something beautiful in that soil. What you're going to do? You're going to focus on it. You're going to nurture it. You're going to feed it. You're going to water it. You're going to focus on it. And it's the same with planting seeds within the mind. We want to nurture those things that we do want. And this is really important. It's no good just focusing on the things the client doesn't want. Everybody knows what they don't want. But you need to get the mind in the direction of what is it you want. Okay? The more we focus on something, the more we get. So if somebody keeps focusing and focusing on what they don't want, they're going to get more of what they don't want. So we need to focus on the mind. What is it you do want? Do you want more confidence? Do you want to feel safe? Let's turn that alarm system off if you're suffering trauma. Now, a way of knowing if someone's suffering trauma, it could have been, doesn't matter how many years ago, it could have been 40, 50 years ago. Does it feel present? Does it feel like it's here? As if it's happening now? If it does, then that's an indication that person is suffering a trauma. We need to get them to dissociate from it, remove it from the mind. It doesn't have to be in that part of the brain, the amygdala, which is the fear part of the brain. We can remove it from that part into the cortex, or the thinking part of the brain, where it doesn't contain that emotion. We need to break that association. So it's never the event that happened with trauma, it's the emotion attached to the event. So we need to make that connection and disconnect it, and then create something new, something that's going to serve that person now and for the rest of their life. And that's how we deal with trauma. I could go into a lot more detail, but that's just it in a nutshell very quickly. And we could do this with phobias, addictions, anything that no longer serves that person. And for them to know they are not their addiction, they are not the past, they are not that story. So many people are caught up in it and they're living it day after day after day after day. It's exhausting. It's ruining the present time. You know, life's so precious. We want to make the most of it in the moment, to be in the moment. But people don't know how. It's like, well, how do I do that? That's where therapists like myself will come in. I will help them be focused in the moment, create a future for them. Let their mind go in the direction they want rather than back in the past where they don't want to be. Their mind needs to be in the now to find that peace, not in the past. If they're suffering trauma, they're never going to be in peace. So we need to remove that, let them allow them to be in the present time, and then let their minds create that future they do want, like those seeds planting in the earth, and to nurture those seeds. Let their mind go in the direction they want to be, away from the past, because you're not your past, but people feel they are. They're so attached to it. And the thing is, with the amygdala, where this fear is in the brain, it's going to exaggerate everything. It tends to exaggerate things. We can't rely on memory. I've said this before in other videos. We can't rely 100% on memory. The amygdala, if you're in that, if that trauma's there, it's going to exaggerate everything. It's going to make it worse, and it's going to make it even more negative than what it was. Because that's the nature of it. It's a survival mechanism from way back. It's part of our brain that's primitive. So if you want to make that change, or if you know somebody that really needs to make this change, get them in touch with me. Kent Holistic Practice. I can do online, I can see them in person. But please, please don't live with this any longer. You've suffered enough. Or whoever else you know suffered enough. They don't have to be like this. It's not living, that's just surviving, and we can't just continue being in survival mode. Okay, thank you for watching, and please share. Thank you.